They say winter reveals who you really are. Not summer, not comfort. Winter. Ilara Knox learned that on December 23rd, standing in the middle of a snow-choked mountain train station, rocking a crying baby against her chest while the departure board flickered "canceled" in angry red letters. Her son Milo was 6 months old and already furious with the world. Ilara didn't blame him. The station smelled like damp wool, burnt coffee, and exhaustion. Travelers crowded every bench, every wall, every inch of space. Families stranded, tempers short, voices sharp. The storm outside screamed against the glass like it wanted inside. Ilara hitched Milo higher against her side, the strap of her bag slipping off her shoulder again, like the night itself was determined to wear her down. She almost turned to call his name for help, and the memory stopped her cold. Caleb had been gone for 8 months. No fight, no warning, just a clean exit, like she and the baby were a mistake he could return. He'd said fatherhood wasn't what he expected, and now it was just her. So here she was, 1 baby, 2 bags, $43, and nowhere to go. A voice crackled over the station speakers. "Attention passengers. Due to worsening weather conditions, all outbound trains are suspended until further notice." A collective groan rippled through the crowd. Ilara closed her eyes. Of course. She stepped toward the service desk, heart pounding, rehearsing what she'd say. She needed one thing to go right, just one. The clerk barely looked up. "No lodging vouchers," the woman said flatly. "Everything within 50 miles is booked. Holidays." Ilara swallowed. Even the roadside inns?" The clerk shook her head. "Snowstorm plus Christmas. I'm sorry." Sorry didn't warm babies. Ilara stepped away, found an empty stretch of wall, and slid down until she was sitting on the cold tile floor. Milo's cries sharpened, his tiny fists knotting into her sweater. "I know," she whispered. "I know, sweetheart." Her vision blurred. That's when a shadow fell across her. "You should move away from the doors," a man said calmly. "Draft's brutal there." Ilara looked up and forgot how to breathe. He wasn't just handsome, he was unnervingly composed, like chaos simply didn't apply to him. Dark hair brushed with snow, long black coat tailored within an inch of perfection, shoulders broad enough to block the world. His eyes were dark. Too dark. "I'm fine," Ilara said quickly, wiping her face. "Thank you." The man's gaze dropped briefly to Milo. Something flickered there. Recognition, maybe, or restraint. "The benches near the fireplace are warmer," he said. "Come on." He was already reaching for her backpack, lifting it like it weighed nothing. "I'm not stealing your child," he added dryly. "Promise." Against every instinct she had left, Ilara stood. They crossed the station together. The fire crackled softly, heat seeping into her bones. Milo's cries softened almost instantly, his head settling against her shoulder. The man nodded once, satisfied. "There," he said. "Better." "Thank you," Ilara murmured. Silence stretched. "I'm Rowan Hale," he said finally. "Ilara." "Milo," he added, glancing at the baby. Her eyebrows shot up. "How did you—" He shrugged. "Lucky guess." A sharp tremor ran through the station as wind howled outside. Rowan checked his phone, jaw tightening. "They've shut down the mountain roads," he said. "No rides out tonight." Ilara's heart sank. "I know." He studied her for a long moment, really studied her. The exhaustion, the baby, the fear she was trying to hide. "You can stay at my place," he said. She laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. "Absolutely not." "Fair," he said easily. "Let me rephrase." He leaned closer, voice low. "My family owns an estate 15 minutes from here. There are people around, warm rooms, food. You won't be alone." Ilara stared at him. "You don't know me." "No," Rowan agreed. "But I know what it looks like when someone's out of options." Milo stirred, then, traitorously, reached out and grabbed Rowan's coat sleeve. Rowan froze. Slowly, carefully, he placed a finger in Milo's tiny hand. The baby gripped it instantly, calmed, content. Rowan exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. Alara's chest tightened. "What are you?" she whispered, not realizing she'd said it aloud. Rowan's gaze lifted to hers. Something ancient stirred behind his eyes. "Someone who won't let you spend Christmas Eve on a station floor," he said quietly. Outside, the storm roared louder, and Alara, with nowhere left to run, made the choice that would change everything. The SUV cuts through the storm like it owns the road. Alara sits stiffly in the back seat, Milo finally asleep against her chest, his tiny breaths puffing warm through her scarf. The heater hums softly. The windows are tinted dark, the world beyond reduced to snow and shadow. Rowan sits beside her, one arm braced casually against the seat as the vehicle swerves around a fallen branch. Not once does he flinch. Not once does he check his phone. It's unsettling. "You okay?" he asks, not looking at her. "Yes," Alara lies. Her body feels like it's vibrating. Adrenaline, fear, exhaustion, everything crashing together. She's in a stranger's car on a mountain road in a storm, following a man she met less than an hour ago. And yet, she doesn't feel unsafe. That bothers her. The SUV slows. Ahead, iron gates rise from the snow, black and imposing, flanked by stone pillars carved with symbols Alara doesn't recognize. As they approach, the gates open on their own, silent and smooth. Alara's breath catches. "Is that automatic?" Rowan says easily. The driveway curves uphill, long and winding, lined with towering pines heavy with snow. Warm light glows ahead, spilling from tall windows set into a massive stone and timber house that looks less like a mansion and more like a fortress pretending to be a home. The SUV pulls to a stop. The engine cuts. Before Alara can react, Rowan is already out of the car, opening her door, shielding her from the wind with his body. The cold barely touches her. "Careful," he murmurs. "Ice." His hand hovers near her elbow, not touching but ready. She hates how much she notices that. Inside, the house is warm. Too warm. The kind of warmth that sinks straight into your bones and makes you realize how cold you've really been. The air smells like pine, wood smoke, and something deeper, earthier. A tall man with silver-streaked hair strides toward them, grinning broadly. "Well, about time," he booms. "I was starting to think the mountain finally ate you," Rowan smirks. "Nice to see you too, Declan." Declan's gaze drops to Milo instantly, his grin softening. "And who's this?" he asks gently, as if his voice alone might wake the baby. "Alara," Rowan says. "And her son." Declan's expression changes, not surprise, recognition. "Well then," he says warmly. "Welcome home." Alara blinks. "Home?" A woman stands near the staircase watching. She's beautiful in a way that feels deliberate, elegant posture, cool eyes, hair pulled back with precision. When she steps forward, Alara notices how quietly she moves, like her feet barely touch the floor. "I'm Isolde," the woman says. "Rowan's mother." Her gaze flicks to Milo, then back to Alara. "You must be exhausted." Alara nods, unsure what to say. "You'll stay the night," Isolde continues, not phrasing it as a question. "The storm will worsen." Rowan doesn't argue. That alone tells Alara more than anything else could. A woman appears with a blanket. Another takes Alara's backpack. Someone else murmurs about heating bottles, preparing a room. Alara stands there, stunned, as her problems are quietly dismantled without discussion. Rowan leans in slightly. "You're safe here," he says low. "I promise." She believes him. That scares her too. The guest room is larger than Alara's last apartment. Cream walls, thick rugs, a fireplace already lit, and in the corner, Alara freezes. A crib, not old, not dusty, brand new. Beside it, diapers, formula, wipes, a soft baby monitor already plugged in. Her throat tightens. This is too much," she says, turning to Rowan. I can't. You can, he replies, firm but gentle. And you will. She looks up at him, startled by the certainty in his voice. For tonight, he adds. That's all. A pause. If you want to leave in the morning, he continues, eyes steady on hers, you can. Something about the way he says it makes her chest ache. Thank you, she whispers. Rowan nods once, like that's settled. As he turns to leave, Milo stirs. A soft fuss. Rowan stops instantly, turns back, moves closer. Ilara watches as he crouches beside the crib, one large finger offered gently. Milo latches onto it without hesitation, calming immediately. Rowan exhales slowly. Isolde stands in the doorway, watching the scene with sharp intensity. Interesting, she murmurs. Rowan straightens, his expression closing. I'll check on you later, he says to Ilara. When the door closes behind him, Ilara sinks onto the bed, heart racing. Outside, somewhere deep in the woods, a low howl echoes, not threatening, not distant, close. And for reasons she can't explain, Ilara feels like it was meant for her. Ilara wakes to silence, not the thin, restless silence of cheap apartments or roadside motels, but the deep, insulated quiet of a house that was built to keep the world out. For one hazy second, she forgets where she is. Then Milo stirs against her chest, letting out a soft, questioning sound, and everything comes rushing back. The storm, the station, Rowan. Ilara sits up slowly, scanning the room. The fire in the hearth has burned down to glowing embers. Pale winter light filters through the tall windows, turning the snow outside into a sheet of white glass. Milo blinks up at her, calm, happy. She freezes. He slept. Through the night. Her chest tightens as she presses her lips to his soft hair. You did it, she whispers. You actually slept. Milo responds by grabbing her chin with surprising strength. She laughs quietly, then exhales. For the first time in months, her body doesn't feel like it's braced for impact. Downstairs, the house is already awake. Ilara follows the sound of voices and the smell of coffee down a wide staircase that curves gently into a massive kitchen flooded with light. Stone counters, heavy wooden beams, everything solid, permanent. A man she doesn't recognize stands at the stove, humming off-key while flipping something in a pan. Well, he says without turning around, you must be the reason my son vanished into a blizzard last night. Ilara blinks. I'm sorry? He grins and turns, revealing warm eyes and a face lined with laughter. I'm Declan, Rowan's father. Oh, I'm Ilara. Welcome, Declan says sincerely. His gaze drops to Milo. And who's this fierce little commander? Milo. Declan nods solemnly. Strong name, suits him. A woman steps in beside Declan, placing a mug of coffee into his hand with practiced ease. Ilara stiffens. Isolde. Up close, Rowan's mother is even more intimidating. Not loud, not cold, just watchful. Like nothing escapes her notice. You slept, Isolde observes, eyes flicking briefly to Milo. Yes, Ilara says, unsure if she's being tested. Good, Isolde replies. Children sense when they are protected. Something about the way she says it sends a shiver down Ilara's spine. Before she can respond, the temperature in the room shifts. Not literally, emotionally. Ilara doesn't have to turn around to know Rowan has entered. She feels it. The quiet intensifies. Declan straightens. Isolde's posture changes. Even Milo's attention drifts past Ilara's shoulder. Rowan stands in the doorway, sleeves rolled up, dark hair still damp from a shower. He looks different, less guarded, more dangerous in a way she can't explain. Morning, he says. Ilara's mouth goes dry. Morning. Their eyes meet, and the space between them feels suddenly too small. Then, you didn't tell me we had guests. The voice is sharp, female, young. Ilara turns. A teenage girl stands near the hallway entrance, tall and striking, dark hair falling loose around her shoulders. Her eyes, green, piercing, lock immediately onto Alara, then Milo, then back to Alara. Something flashes across her face, not curiosity, ownership. "I'm Lyra," the girl says flatly. "Who are you?" Alara opens her mouth. Rowan steps forward. "She's under my protection," he says calmly. Lyra's jaw tightens. That wasn't the question. The tension is instant and electric, snapping through the room like a live wire. "I'm Alara," she says finally, keeping her voice steady. "And this is my son." Lyra's gaze lingers on Milo. Too long. Interesting. "You brought a human into the house," Lyra says, eyes never leaving the baby. "During the long storm." Rowan's voice drops. "Enough." Lyra finally looks at her father, defiance blazing. "You don't get to decide that alone." Declan clears his throat loudly. "Who wants pancakes?" No one moves. Isolde steps forward, placing a hand on Lyra's shoulder. "We will discuss this later." Lyra shrugs her off. "Fine," she snaps. Then to Alara, cold and clear. "Don't get comfortable." She turns and storms out. Silence crashes down behind her. Alara swallows hard. "I'm sorry," she says quietly. "I didn't mean to cause—" Rowan turns to her, expression firm but not angry. "You didn't cause anything." His gaze softens slightly when it drops to Milo. "Lyra is protective," he continues. "She always has been." Alara nods. She understands that kind of fear. Declan claps his hands. "Right. Food before we all start growling at each other." Rowan shoots him a look. "What?" Declan grins. "Two on the nose?" Alara frowns. "Growling." She shakes it off. "Probably nothing." Later, bundled in a borrowed coat, Alara steps out onto the estate grounds, Milo snug against her chest. The air is crisp, the snow untouched except for a single set of footprints leading toward the tree line. She follows them without thinking. The woods are quiet, too quiet. Then she sees it. At the edge of the trees, standing perfectly still, is a massive dark wolf, not snarling, not aggressive, just watching her. Alara's heart slams into her ribs. The wolf's eyes lift, gold, bright, intelligent. Recognition flares between them. Alara takes a step back. The wolf tilts its head. Then, behind her, "Alara!" She spins. Rowan stands several yards away, tension radiating off him like heat. "What are you doing out here alone?" he asks quietly. She turns back. The wolf is gone. Only snow remains. "I saw something," she says, breathless. "A wolf." Rowan studies her face carefully. "You're certain?" "Yes." A pause, then carefully. "Did it approach you?" "No," Alara says. "It just watched." Rowan exhales slowly. "That's good." Her stomach flips. "Why?" His eyes meet hers, dark and unreadable. "Because," he says, voice low, "if it had come closer, things would have become complicated." The wind picks up. Somewhere deep in the woods, a distant howl echoes. This time, Alara knows. She isn't imagining it. Alara doesn't sleep easily that night. The bed is warm. The room is quiet. Milo is peaceful in the crib beside her, breathing slow and steady like he belongs here. And that's the problem. She lies awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying Rowan's words. If it had come closer, things would have become complicated. That wasn't something a normal man said. She turns her head slightly, watching the shadows flicker across the walls as the fire dies down. The house makes soft noises, wood settling, wind brushing against stone, and beneath it all, movement. Not loud, not threatening, just present, like the house itself is breathing. Morning comes with tension. Alara feels it the second she steps into the hallway. The air is tighter, heavier, like something unresolved has been pacing all night. Downstairs, voices drift from the kitchen. Low, controlled. She pauses at the top of the stairs, Milo snug against her chest. "You should have told her," Lyra's voice snaps. "I told you, not now," Rowan replies, calm but strained. "She saw the Watcher," Lyra shoots back. You can't pretend she didn't. Silence. Alara's heart starts racing. Rowan speaks again, slower this time. Lower your voice. Why? Lyra demands. Afraid the human will hear? Alara steps forward. I can hear, she says quietly. The voices stop instantly. She descends the stairs, each step deliberate. Rowan turns first, his expression unreadable. Lyra stands stiffly by the counter, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Isolde is there too, seated calmly with a cup of tea as if this is all perfectly ordinary. What watcher? Ilara asks. No one answers. Rowan moves toward her. You shouldn't be standing, he says softly. You're still tired. I'm not fragile, Ilara replies. And I'm not stupid. Lyra scoffs. Ilara, Rowan warns. No, Ilara says, surprising herself. If I'm staying here, even temporarily, I need honesty. Rowan studies her for a long moment. Something shifts in his gaze. Fine, he says finally. Then we'll do this properly. Lyra's eyes widen. Dad! Enough, Rowan says sharply. The room goes still. Alara's pulse thunders. Milo squirms, sensing the tension. Rowan gestures toward the back of the house. Walk with me. They step into a wide stone corridor that opens into a glass-walled atrium overlooking the forest. Snow drifts slowly past the windows. Peaceful and deceptive. Rowan stops, turns to her. You were watched last night, he says. Not threatened. That's not reassuring. It should be, he replies. The watchers don't observe just anyone. Alara's throat tightens. What are they? Rowan exhales slowly. Guardians, sentinels, members of my people. She stares at him. Your people, she repeats. Yes. Her mind races, scrambling for logic, for grounding. You mean, like a cult? Lyra laughs bitterly behind them. Oh, that's adorable. Rowan shoots her a look. We're not human, he says calmly. The words land like a dropped plate. Ilara feels it before she understands it, her body reacting first, a rush of cold followed by heat. What does that mean? She whispers. Rowan doesn't flinch. It means the rules you're used to don't fully apply here. Lyra steps forward. We shift. Alara's heart pounds violently now. Shift into what? Lyra smiles and steps back. The change is fast, violent, wrong, bones crack, air warps. Lyra's body folds inward, then stretches, her spine arching as fur bursts from her skin. Ilara stumbles back with a gasp, clutching Milo tight as a sleek, powerful wolf lands silently on the stone floor. Green eyes, intelligent, unapologetic. Milo lets out a small sound. The wolf freezes instantly. Then, impossibly gently, it lowers itself, ears flattening. Not in submission, but restraint. Rowan's voice cuts through the shock. Enough! The wolf shifts back in a rush of motion and breath, Lyra standing there again, breathing hard, eyes blazing. Ilara can't move, can't blink. Her world has just shattered into something unrecognizable. You scared her, Rowan snaps. Lyra scoffs. She asked. Ilara swallows, shaking. Is my son safe? The question comes out raw. Lyra stiffens. Rowan's expression darkens. You think I'd allow danger near him? He asks quietly. I don't know what to think, Ilara replies. I don't even know what you are. Rowan takes a step closer, careful, measured. I'm Alpha, he says simply. The word settles into the room like gravity. Leader, protector, and responsible for every soul on this land. Ilara laughs weakly. Of course you are. Lyra crosses her arms. This is why humans don't belong here. Rowan turns sharply. That's enough. No, Lyra fires back. You're repeating history. That stops him. Isolde finally speaks. Lyra, she says calmly, go to your room. Lyra hesitates, then turns on Ilara one last time. You don't understand what you're walking into, she says quietly. And if you stay, someone will get hurt. She leaves. The silence that follows is heavy. Ilara's hands are shaking now. Milo fusses softly, confused by her fear. Rowan looks at her like he's trying to decide something. I should leave, Elara says finally, as soon as the storm clears. Rowan's jaw tightens. If that's what you want, he says. But something in his eyes says it's not what he wants. She meets his gaze, heart pounding. I need time, she adds, to understand, to decide if I can even handle this. Rowan nods slowly. You'll have it. They stand there, tension thick, unspoken things pressing between them. Outside, the forest shifts, and for the first time since arriving, Elara feels it clearly. The house is no longer neutral. It's watching her, judging her, choosing. The storm doesn't clear. It worsens. By nightfall, the wind howls hard enough to rattle the windows, snow piling high against the stone walls like it's trying to bury the house alive. The estate generators hum steadily, low and powerful, keeping the lights warm and constant. Elara sits on the edge of the bed, Milo asleep against her shoulder, staring at the closed door. Lyra's words replay in her head. If you stay, someone will get hurt. Elara presses her lips to Milo's hair, breathing him in, grounding herself. I won't let anything happen to you, she whispers. She believes that. What she doesn't know is whether this house will let her keep that promise. Dinner is quieter than before. Declan cracks fewer jokes. Isolde watches everyone like a chessboard. Lyra doesn't come down at all. Rowan sits across from Elara, posture relaxed, presence dominant, but his eyes track every movement, every sound, every shift of the shadows outside. He's coiled, waiting. Elara feels it. You should stay inside tonight, Rowan says casually, slicing his food. Storm's unpredictable. She nods. I wasn't planning on sightseeing. A faint smile tugs at his mouth, then disappears. Milo stirs, fussing lightly. Rowan's gaze snaps to him instantly. May I? He asks, nodding toward the baby. Elara hesitates only a second before handing Milo over. Rowan cradles him with surprising gentleness, big hands careful, precise. Milo settles almost immediately, tiny fingers curling into Rowan's shirt. Rowan freezes. His breath catches. Elara notices. Does he do that a lot? She asks softly. No, Rowan admits quietly. Not with me. Something heavy passes between them. Then, a sharp sound cuts through the house. Not thunder, not wind. A howl. Close. Too close. Rowan's head snaps up, eyes flashing. Isolde stands abruptly. That wasn't ours. Declan is already on his feet. Perimeter breach. The lights flicker once. Twice. Milo whimpers. Rowan hands him back to Elara instantly, his body shifting, posture changing from host to commander in a heartbeat. Stay here, he orders. Elara's pulse spikes. Rowan, now, he says, voice leaving no room for argument. She clutches Milo to her chest as Rowan moves, fast, decisive, barking low commands to Declan as they head for the rear exit. Isolde lingers, watching Elara closely. Do not leave this room, she says calmly. No matter what you hear. Elara nods, heart pounding. The door shuts. The house feels suddenly hollow. Minutes pass, or seconds. Time loses meaning. The howls return, louder now, angry. Challenging. Elara presses herself into the corner of the room, rocking Milo, trying to muffle his cries. Then she hears it. A scream. Human. Female. Lyra. Elara's blood turns to ice. Before she can stop herself, she's moving. Out the door, down the corridor, ignoring every instinct, screaming at her to hide. The back atrium doors stand open, snow blowing inside. Lyra is there, cornered. 3 massive wolves stand opposite her, hackles raised, eyes burning feral gold and red. Not from the estate, intruders. Lyra is half-shifted, injured, blood staining the snow beneath her. Elara doesn't think. She steps forward. Hey! Every head snaps toward her. The wolves freeze. Lyra's eyes widen. Get back! One of the intruders snarls and lunges. And then, the air explodes. Rowan hits the wolf mid-leap, shifting in motion, bones snapping. fur ripping through fabric in a blur of violence and power. He lands as a massive black wolf, larger than the others, eyes blazing molten gold. The ground seems to bow beneath him. A growl tears from his chest, deep, thunderous, absolute. The intruders falter. Rowan doesn't hesitate. He attacks. The fight is brutal and fast. Snarls, snow, bodies crashing into stone. Ilara backs away instinctively, shielding Milo, heart hammering as Rowan takes down one wolf, then another. The third turns to flee. Rowan lets it run. Silence crashes down. Rowan shifts back in seconds, human again, breathing hard, blood streaking his arms, not all of it his. He looks at Lyra first. "Are you hurt?" Lyra shakes, but nods. "I'm okay." Then Rowan turns, sees Ilara standing there, with Milo. His eyes widen, not with anger, with fear. "You disobeyed me," he says hoarsely. Ilara swallows. "Your daughter screamed." Something breaks in his expression. He strides toward her, stopping just short, towering over her, hands clenched at his sides like he doesn't trust himself to touch her. "You could have been killed," he says, voice shaking with barely restrained fury. "You were going to be," she fires back, adrenaline surging. "And I wasn't going to hide." Their gazes lock. The air crackles. Rowan inhales sharply, and then, without warning, he drops to one knee in front of her. Ilara gasps. Rowan bows his head. "Mine," he growls softly. The word reverberates through the atrium, through the house, through her bones. Isolde stiffens behind them. Lyra's breath catches. Declan swears quietly. Ilara's heart slams violently in her chest. "What did you just say?" she whispers. Rowan looks up at her, eyes glowing fiercely. "I claimed you," he says, "in front of witnesses." Ilara shakes her head, dizzy. "I didn't agree to that." Rowan's expression tightens. "I know," he says quietly. "And that's why this just became very dangerous." The house creaks around them. The storm howls louder, and Ilara realizes with terrifying clarity that the choice she was trying to postpone has already been made. The silence after the words is worse than the storm. "Mine." The single syllable hangs in the air like a fault line splitting open. Ilara doesn't move, doesn't breathe. Rowan is still kneeling in the snow-dusted stone atrium, one knee pressed to the floor, head slightly bowed, not in submission but in acknowledgement. Around them, the house feels alert, tense, listening. Lyra stares at her father as if she's seeing him for the first time. Declan swears again, softer this time. "Damn it, Rowan." Isolde doesn't speak. She watches Ilara with an intensity that borders on reverence or calculation. Ilara can't tell which. Rowan rises slowly, controlled, like every movement is a deliberate choice. His eyes never leave Ilara's face. "You didn't ask," Ilara says, her voice shaking despite her effort to steady it. "You didn't even warn me." Rowan flinches. "You're right," he says quietly, "and that is on me." She tightens her grip on Milo, who has gone still against her chest, eyes wide, sensing the danger even if he doesn't understand it. "What does that mean?" Ilara demands. "What did you just do to us?" Rowan looks away for half a second, just long enough to betray how much the answer costs him. "I bound myself," he says, publicly. Lyra's voice cracks. "Dad." Rowan turns to her, his tone gentler now. "You were hurt. I reacted." "That doesn't make it okay," Lyra snaps. "You know the rules." "I know," Rowan replies, "better than anyone." Ilara's heart pounds. "Rules?" Isolde finally steps forward. Her presence is cool, composed, commanding. "An alpha's claim is not ownership," she says evenly. "It is a vow." Ilara laughs, brittle and disbelieving. "That's supposed to make me feel better?" "It should," Isolde replies. He placed himself beneath consequence. Rowan meets Ilara's gaze again. "The claim protects you," he says. "It signals to the pack and to outsiders that you are under my guard." "And what does it cost?" Ilara asks. Rowan's jaw tightens. Me. The word lands heavier than the claim itself. Declan steps closer. Son, you should have brought this to council. I didn't have time, Rowan replies. They crossed the boundary. They injured my daughter. And now they'll challenge you for this, Declan says grimly. Alara's stomach drops. Challenge him how? Lyra looks at her sharply. They'll test you. Alara blinks. Me? Yes, Lyra says, because you're the weakness. Rowan's head snaps toward his daughter. Enough! But Lyra doesn't back down. They'll come, she continues, voice trembling with urgency. They'll provoke, push, see if you break. If you reject him, he loses authority. If you accept him, she trails off. Alara feels dizzy. Accept him how? Isolde answers calmly. By choosing to stay. The words crash into Alara like a wave. Rowan steps forward, stopping a careful distance away. You don't have to, he says immediately. This was my mistake. I will undo it if I can. Can you? Alara asks. Rowan hesitates. That tells her everything. Milo whimpers softly, pressing his face into her collarbone. Alara sways instinctively, tears burning her eyes. I didn't ask for this, she whispers. I didn't even know your world existed. I know, Rowan says hoarsely, and I'm sorry. Silence stretches. Then footsteps echo from the corridor. A man Alara hasn't seen before enters the atrium, snow clinging to his coat. His eyes are sharp, calculating, and they slide to Alara immediately. Alpha Rowan, he says, bowing slightly. We felt the claim. Of course they did. Rowan straightens, every inch the leader now. You felt it because you were not invited. The man smiles thinly. And yet, it was broadcast. His gaze flicks to Alara's chest, where Milo rests. Human, he says, with a child. Alara stiffens. Rowan steps in front of her instantly. You will address me, he growls. The man chuckles. Careful, Alpha. You don't want to appear compromised. Rowan's eyes flash gold. You have until sunrise, Rowan says coldly. Leave my land. The man bows again, mockery dripping from the gesture. Sunrise, then. He turns and leaves, disappearing into the storm. The moment he's gone, the weight crashes down. Lyra looks sick. They're going to force a reckoning. Rowan exhales slowly, pressing his fingers to the bridge of his nose. Alara steps forward. No, she says. Everyone turns to her. I won't be the reason you lose everything. She continues, voice trembling but firm. If leaving fixes this, I'll go. Rowan looks at her like she's just stabbed him. That won't fix it, he says quietly. It will break it. Alara shakes her head, tears spilling now. I won't let my son be bait. Rowan takes a step toward her, stopping himself with visible effort. Then let me fight, he says. Let me protect you. Alara meets his gaze, heart splitting in two. And if you lose? She asks. Rowan doesn't answer, because they both know the truth. Sunrise comes without mercy. The storm eases just enough to be dangerous, snow falling lighter now, the wind quieter, as if the mountain itself is holding its breath. Alara stands by the tall windows of the atrium, Milo bundled against her chest, watching the pale light bleed across the forest. She hasn't slept, neither has Rowan. She knows because she can feel him behind her, awake, alert, coiled tight like a wire pulled too far. They'll arrive soon? He says quietly. Alara nods. How many? Enough. She almost laughs at that. Almost. Behind them, the house stirs. Declan moves with purpose, murmuring into his phone. Isolde stands near the hearth, composed as ever, dressed now in deep charcoal, hair braided back in a style that feels ceremonial. Lyra appears at the edge of the room, pale but steady. She avoids Alara's eyes at first, then finally meets them. I'm sorry, Lyra says stiffly, for what I said before. Alara blinks. You don't have to. I do, Lyra interrupts. You didn't choose this, and you still stayed. Something in Alara's chest loosens. "Thank you," she says simply. Lyra hesitates, then reaches out and adjusts the edge of Milo's blanket, careful, almost reverent. "He's important," Lyra says quietly. They can feel it. Alara's heart stutters. "Feel what?" Lyra opens her mouth, and the air shifts. A low vibration hums through the stone floor, subtle but unmistakable. Alara feels it in her bones, a pressure building, ancient and heavy. "They're here," Rowan says. The front doors open without a sound. They come in pairs, then threes, men and women, all different, all carrying the same quiet authority. Their eyes scan the room, assessing, weighing, judging. At their center walks the man from the night before. He smiles when he sees Alara. "Alpha Rowan," he says smoothly. "You called counsel without notice." Rowan steps forward. "You crossed my boundary without consent. And you claimed a human without approval," the man counters lightly. "We're even." Murmurs ripple through the room. Alara's grip tightens on Milo. Isolde steps forward. "This council convenes under emergency circumstance." The man's gaze flicks to her. "So it does." He turns back to Rowan. "Present your justification." Every eye shifts to Rowan. He doesn't hesitate. "They trespassed," Rowan says. "They injured my daughter." I responded. "And the claim?" the man presses. Rowan's jaw tightens. "Instinct." A few of the council members scoff. The man smiles wider. "Instinct is not law." Before Rowan can respond, Alara steps forward. The room goes still. Rowan spins toward her. "Alara." "No," she says softly, then louder. "Let me speak." The man raises an eyebrow. "Humans don't address council." Alara lifts her chin. "I'm not asking permission." Gasps ripple. Lyra's eyes widen. Rowan freezes, not in anger, but shock. Alara swallows, heart pounding. "My name is Alara Knox," she says. "I didn't know your world existed 48 hours ago. I didn't ask to be claimed. I didn't even understand what it meant." She meets the man's gaze without flinching. "But I will not stand here and be treated like an object you're debating ownership over." The man's smile falters. "I'm a mother," Alara continues. "My child is innocent of your rules, your politics, your power struggles. If you want to test strength, test me." A hush falls. Rowan's breath catches. "You want to know if I weaken him?" Alara presses. "Then look at him." She turns slightly, angling Milo outward. The baby blinks up at the room, wide-eyed, curious, utterly unafraid. A ripple moves through the council, subtle, involuntary. Several of them inhale sharply. One woman steps back. "Impossible," someone whispers. The man's eyes narrow. "What is the child?" Rowan speaks before Alara can. "He is human." The man studies Milo intently. Then something unexpected happens. Milo giggles, a small, delighted sound. The pressure in the room shifts, softens. The man stiffens. Isolde's eyes widen, just a fraction. Lyra lets out a shaky breath. Alara feels it then, a warmth spreading through her chest, down her arms, into Milo. Not pain, not fear, connection. The man takes a step back. "This council is adjourned," he says abruptly. Murmurs explode. "You can't—" "We will reconvene," he snaps, "after we reassess what you've brought into this pack." He turns sharply and strides toward the door. Others follow, unsettled, shaken. Within moments, they're gone. Silence crashes down. Rowan stares at Alara like she's rewritten the laws of the universe. "You just did something no one's done in centuries," Declan says quietly. Alara exhales shakily. "I just told the truth." Rowan steps toward her slowly, reverently. "You didn't weaken me," he says hoarsely. "You anchored me." His hand hovers near hers, waiting. Alara looks down at Milo, then back up at Rowan. "I'm still scared," she admits. "So am I," Rowan says. They stand there, fear and hope tangling between them. Outside, the sun rises fully over the snow-covered forest, and for the first time since arriving, Ilara feels it clearly. The pack didn't reject her. It felt her. The house doesn't celebrate. There's no relief, no laughter, no sense of victory. Only quiet. The kind that settles after something ancient shifts, when everyone is still trying to understand what it means to be standing on new ground. Ilara sits in the window seat of the small sitting room off the atrium, Milo asleep against her chest once again. His tiny fingers curl into her sweater like anchors. Rowan stands several feet away, back to the wall, arms folded, not defensive, but contained. Like a man holding himself together through sheer will. Neither of them speaks at first. It's Declan who finally breaks the silence. "Well," he says lightly, clapping his hands once. "That went better than expected." No one laughs. Declan clears his throat. "Too soon." Isolde approaches Ilara slowly, not cold now, not distant, measured. "You should know," she says, "that the council's withdrawal wasn't mercy." Ilara nods. "It was uncertainty." Isolde's lips curve slightly. "You learn quickly." Lyra stands near the doorway, arms wrapped around herself, watching Ilara with an expression Ilara hasn't seen before. Fear, not for herself, for her father. "They'll come back," Lyra says quietly. "They always do." Rowan finally speaks. "When they do," he says, voice calm and ironed flat, "I won't pretend." He turns to Ilara, not Alpha, not Commander, just a man who is very aware of what he's risking. "I won't hide you," he says. "I won't soften this. Staying here means being seen, being targeted." Ilara swallows. "And leaving?" Rowan's jaw tightens. "Means the claim fractures." Declan grimaces. "Which would weaken him." "And you," Lyra adds softly. Ilara exhales slowly, her breath fogging the glass. "I need to ask something," she says, "and I need honesty." Rowan nods once. "Always." She turns to face him fully. "Did you feel it before me?" she asks. "This pull?" Rowan doesn't answer right away. When he does, his voice is low. "I felt something change the moment you walked into the station," he admits. "Before I knew your name. Before I saw your son." Ilara's heart stutters. "But I didn't understand it," he continues. "Not until last night." Lyra stiffens. "Dad?" Rowan lifts a hand. She deserves the truth. He meets Ilara's gaze. "The claim wasn't strategy," he says. "It wasn't politics. It wasn't instinct alone." His voice roughens. "It was recognition." The word settles deep in her chest. Ilara looks down at Milo. "He didn't cry," she whispers. "Not when you held him. Not when everything went wrong." Rowan nods slowly. He knows. That should terrify her. Instead, it feels grounding. Lyra takes a step forward. "I was wrong," she says, voice tight. "I thought you were a threat." Ilara looks up. "And now?" Lyra's eyes shine. "Now I think you're the reason they're afraid." A heavy truth. Isolde watches them all, hands folded. "You should also know," she says, "that what the child did today, what he is, will not remain secret." Ilara stiffens. "He's just a baby." "He is more than that," Isolde replies gently, "and less dangerous than the adults around him." Rowan steps closer to Ilara now, careful not to crowd her. "If you choose to leave," he says quietly, "I will escort you myself. No pursuit, no retaliation." "And if I stay?" Ilara asks. Rowan's eyes darken. "Then I choose you openly," he says, "not as a symbol, not as a shield. As my mate." The word is heavy, final. Lyra inhales sharply. Ilara's heart pounds. "I won't be owned," she says immediately. Rowan nods. "You won't be." "I won't be silent," she adds. "Good," he says. "I'd worry if you were." She almost laughs, almost. Ilara looks around the room, the house, the people, the world she never asked for but somehow walked into anyway. She presses her lips to Milo's forehead. I won't decide tonight, she says, but I won't run either. Rowan releases a breath he's been holding since the storm began. That's enough, he says quietly. For now. That night, Alara lies awake again. But this time it's not fear keeping her up. It's possibility. And somewhere beyond the windows, deep in the forest, something ancient shifts its attention. Not toward the Alpha, but toward the woman who stood her ground. The warning comes without ceremony. No horns, no alarms, no dramatic announcement, just a quiet, unmistakable wrongness that settles over the land like a held breath. Alara feels it first. She's in the nursery, Milo sprawled across her lap in a rare, boneless mood, when the warmth in her chest tightens, sharp, sudden, almost painful. She gasps softly, pressing a hand over her heart. Milo stirs, not crying, listening. Her pulse jumps. She stands slowly, moving toward the window. Outside, the forest is still. Too still. No birds, no wind, no movement. And then she sees it. Footprints, not paw prints. Boots, fresh, coming from the tree line. Her stomach drops. Rowan feels it seconds later. He's halfway through a call when the connection cuts out mid-sentence. He stiffens, eyes lifting sharply. No, he murmurs. The door opens before he can move. Lyra stands there, pale. They're inside the boundary. Rowan is already moving. Where? The south approach, Lyra says. 3 of them, maybe 4. Rowan's jaw tightens. They're early. Lyra swallows. They're not here for you. That stops him. What do you mean? Lyra hesitates. They're here for her. Alara doesn't wait for permission. She's halfway down the corridor when Rowan intercepts her, body sliding instinctively into her space, not to intimidate, but to shield. Inside, he orders quietly. Now. No, Alara replies just as quietly. Tell me the truth. His eyes search her face. Then he nods once. They're challengers, he says, but not the kind that fight with claws. Her heart pounds. Then what do they want? To see if you break, Rowan says grimly. Footsteps echo through the lower hall. Slow, deliberate, unafraid. A woman enters first. Tall, sharp-eyed, dressed in dark wool, her presence coiled tight with intent. 2 men flank her, their gazes assessing, predatory in a quieter way than wolves. Alpha Rowan, the woman says smoothly, we appreciate your hospitality. You're trespassing, Rowan replies coldly. She smiles. We were invited. Her gaze slides past him, locks onto Alara. And you must be the human. Alara feels the pull again, pressure behind her ribs, but she doesn't step back. My name is Alara, she says. You came onto private land. The woman's eyebrows lift slightly. Brave. Lyra appears behind Rowan, tense. Declan and Isolde watch from the edge of the room, silent, assessing. We're not here to fight, the woman continues. We're here to test. Rowan's voice drops. You will not touch her. Oh, we won't, the woman says lightly. Not physically. Alara's stomach twists. Then how? She asks. The woman tilts her head. We ask you to leave. The words echo. Leave? Alara repeats. Yes, the woman says, voluntarily. Walk away from this claim. From him. She gestures to Rowan. Do that, she continues, and we withdraw. No blood, no challenge, no war. Rowan stiffens. You don't get to make that demand. Of course we do, the woman replies calmly, because you won't stop her. She turns back to Alara. If you stay, she says softly, they will come again. Louder, meaner. And one day they won't stop at threats. Alara's breath shakes. And if I go? The woman smiles. Then the Alpha keeps his crown. His daughter stays safe. His pack remains whole. Silence crashes down. Rowan turns to Alara slowly. No, he says immediately. That's not a choice. I won't accept it. Alara looks at him. Really looks. The exhaustion, the weight he carries, the way he stands like a wall between everyone else and the consequences. She presses a kiss to Milo's forehead. I need a moment, she says. Rowan's voice cracks. Elara, just a moment, she repeats gently. She steps forward. The woman waits, watching. Elara's heart hammers as she speaks. You're right about one thing, she says. I didn't choose this world. She looks at Rowan. But I won't let my presence be the reason it burns. Rowan's eyes widen. Elara, don't. She turns back to the challengers. I'll go, she says. The words rip through the room. Lyra gasps. Declan swears. Rowan looks like the ground just gave way beneath him. But not like this, Elara continues, voice steady now. You don't get to scare me into obedience. She steps closer to Rowan, resting her forehead briefly against his chest. You don't lose your pack because of me, she whispers, and I don't lose myself because of fear. Rowan's hands hover at her back, trembling. You're asking me to let you walk away, he says hoarsely. I'm asking you to trust me, she replies. The woman smiles, satisfied. Then we are agreed. No, Rowan growls. Elara steps back. I'll leave at dawn, she says. On my terms. The woman inclines her head. Wise. They turn and leave as quietly as they came. The doors close. The house feels suddenly empty. Rowan stands frozen, eyes blazing gold, jaw clenched so tight it trembles. Lyra steps forward, tears streaming. You can't let her do this. Rowan doesn't answer. He stares at Elara like he's memorizing her. You're wrong, he says finally. You're choosing the hardest path. Elara smiles sadly. I know. She shifts Milo on her hip. And somehow, she adds softly, it feels like the right one. Outside, the forest exhales, and for the first time, the Alpha doesn't know how to win, locked in. Dawn comes quietly. No storm, no warning. Just pale winter light slipping through the trees like it's afraid to be noticed. Elara is already awake. She sits on the edge of the bed, Milo bundled in her arms, watching the sky change color through the tall window. The room looks the same as it did the night before, warm, beautiful, safe, and yet everything feels temporary now. She presses her forehead to Milo's hair. I know, she whispers. I don't want to go either. Milo blinks up at her, calm, trusting, utterly unaware that his mother is about to walk away from the first place that ever felt like shelter. A soft knock sounds at the door. Elara stiffens. Come in. Lyra slips inside. She doesn't look like the sharp territorial girl Elara first met. She looks younger, vulnerable, like someone bracing for loss. You're really leaving, Lyra says quietly. Elara nods. For now. Lyra swallows hard. You shouldn't have to. Elara smiles sadly. Sometimes doing the right thing hurts. Lyra steps closer, hesitating, then reaches out and gently touches Milo's tiny hand. He's not just human, Lyra says softly. You know that now, right? Elara's breath catches. I suspected. Lyra nods. The council did too. That's why they're afraid. Afraid of a baby? Elara whispers. Lyra shakes her head. Afraid of what he represents. Before Elara can ask more, footsteps echo in the hallway. Heavy, measured. Rowan appears in the doorway. He looks different. Not the alpha who commands a room, not the warrior who ends fights before they begin, just a man who hasn't slept and doesn't know how to say goodbye. Lyra takes one look at him and slips past Elara, pausing only long enough to whisper, I'm glad you came. Then she's gone. The door closes softly behind her. Rowan and Elara stand there, the air thick with everything they haven't said. I won't stop you, Rowan says finally, voice low. I won't cage you. Elara nods. Thank you. But I won't pretend this is right, he continues, because it isn't. Her throat tightens. I know. Rowan steps closer, slow, careful, like approaching something fragile. The challengers lied, he says. Leaving won't protect us. Elara looks up sharply. What do you mean? Rowan hesitates, then he exhales. Milo isn't ordinary, he says. even by our standards. Her heart starts racing. Rowan, he carries an imprint, Rowan continues. Old, rare, something that hasn't appeared in generations. Alara's grip tightens on her son. An imprint of what? Rowan meets her gaze. Balance, he says quietly. The word lands with weight. He calmed the council, Rowan goes on. He disrupted a challenge without force. He anchored me when instinct should have overridden reason. Alara shakes her head. He's just a baby. And yet, Rowan says softly, the pack responded to him before it responded to me. Silence stretches. So if I leave, Alara begins. They won't stop watching, Rowan finishes. They'll follow. They'll wait. Alara exhales shakily. Then why did you let me choose? Rowan's eyes soften. Because it had to be yours. She studies him for a long moment, then she laughs quietly, soft, breathless, a little broken. You know, she says, for someone who commands an entire pack, you're terrible at letting go. Rowan huffs out something that might be a laugh. I never learned how. Alara steps closer, so close now that she can feel the heat of him, steady and grounding. I don't want to leave, she admits, but I won't stay out of fear either. Rowan nods. Then don't. Her breath catches. What? Stay because you choose us, he says. Not because they threatened you, not because I claimed you. He lifts a hand, hesitates, then cups her cheek gently. Choose us, he repeats. And I will stand beside you, not above you. Alara closes her eyes. For a moment, she sees the life she was running from, the loneliness, the struggle, the constant bracing for abandonment. Then she looks at Milo, at Rowan, at the truth she's been circling since the night at the station. I'm not leaving, she says. Rowan's breath shudders out of him. But, Alara adds firmly, we do this my way. His lips curve. I wouldn't expect anything less. She smiles, then leans in. The kiss is slow this time, certain. No hesitation, no fear. When they part, Rowan rests his forehead against hers. Welcome home, he murmurs. Later that morning, the house stirs with life again. Declan laughs too loudly. Isolde watches with quiet approval. Lyra grins openly, no longer hiding it. And outside, in the forest, the watchers retreat, not defeated, but aware. The Alpha didn't lose his power. He shared it. And the woman who arrived with nothing but a baby and a suitcase didn't just find safety. She changed the balance of an entire world. Thank you for staying until the end. Stories like this are written for people who believe love should feel earned. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps this channel grow more than you know. More Alpha stories, more moments where love rewrites power. And tell me in the comments. Would you have stayed or walked away at dawn? See you in our next story.